So first and foremost, you're about to launch, what is it? Lola Startdust Fine Art and Coffeehouse? Is that the name of the business?
No, so I'm about to open my coffee shop, which is Stardust Art and Coffeehouse.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's all kind of jumbled in there, but I try to keep it under the Lola Startdust brand. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So what made you decide to get into coffee?
Well, I'm a coffee shop girl. I mean, since I was, in college, that's where anywhere I would be traveling, or I've lived all over Texas, and I would always be in coffee shops doodling or drawing. And it was like a unattainable dream kind of thing. Like, no, I'll never be able to do that. That's just kind of like a silly thought I would have. And then with the success of my art career, it kind of became a little bit more of a maybe I can do this. But it was like in my 5-year plan.
Right.
We'll do this later. I'm comfortable here. We'll do this now. But I was talking to one of my advisors, and she was like, I was telling her, and she was like, well, I have this space just across the way from you that just became available. And I was like, let's go look at it just for funsies, And we walk over there, and I was like, oh, imagine, my coffee shop here. And she was like, let's do it. And I was like, what do you mean, let's do it? I have no idea what to do. And that was literally 7 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really quick, fast turnaround.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy.
And it looks great. I mean, you've been posting some of the painting you've been doing. And it's funny, you probably go in there and have a whole vision where some people wouldn't have the same art vision that you do.
For sure. And I went in, we're down to the wire now. So the whole crew is they're working like long days every day to get it done on time. And I went in last night, and it really it's officially coming together now. And I was just like, I was hugging all the workers because I'm so grateful. Like, they're away from their own families to make sure that I have what I want. You know what I mean? So it's pretty amazing. The whole thing's amazing.
What's the process look like when you're deciding what coffee to implement in your store? So what kind of beans are you importing? Are you buying locally? What does that look like?
So I have some friends, the McGowns, Erica and Mari McGown. They own the nonprofit, the Threaded Leaf Project, and they also have a coffee roasting business called Grounded Roastery. And I knew them just from my work. They're one of my biggest collectors. They have a really big mansion over in Lake Jackson, and it's full. They have the most paintings out of any collector that I have. They're all over their home. They're amazing.
Wow.
And so when I had to go with them, naturally, and they do all their own roasting and everything, and they have a Stardust blend that will just be exclusive to my coffee shop. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that part was easy. Everything else was more difficult, but I had to go with them.
Right.
They're here, and they're friends, and they're supportive, and
makes sense. When's the grand opening going to be happening?
1 week from today, Friday.
That's awesome.
12th.
Any big plans? Because we ran into you at Brew and Bake. Mike and I we like to say we're coffee connoisseurs. Mm-hmm. We really know nothing about coffee, so we're hoping
nothing.
We're hoping to get educated about coffee. So what goes into the process when you're deciding what kind of coffee drinks to make?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to offer an elevated coffee experience, but it be approachable to people who just like to drink frappuccinos. You know what I mean? Like, I want to offer this learning experience, but also, because it's new to me as well, but also have things that are comfortable for people. So I am going to introduce pour overs. No one else in town's doing pour overs yet. And that whole process is really beautiful. There will be a specific bar that you sit at, and the barista does the pour over in front of you, and you get to kind of learn different. It's a slower process of drinking your coffee.
What's the difference between the turnover and just the coffee maker where you brew it in the morning? Because that's getting really big now. A couple of people I follow on Instagram are doing pour overs.
Explain? I don't think a lot of people know what a pour over is.
So
I don't, at least.
So I'm still learning as well.
Okay.
But you basically you weigh out, like, on a scale, like, to the just micro amount of coffee. You put it You pour it through a strainer into 1 cup, and it's this really pretty. Oh, I wish I could tell you what it's called right now, but I'm having, of course, like when I started learning about all the stuff from Mari McGowan, it was so much information. And I was just like, whoa, dude, I just like lattes. But I do want to learn, and I do want to, be able to offer this to people. So we're doing like more training on Monday, for the record. But you pour it, and you get essentially 1 cup of coffee through this pour over process.
Very nice.
The temperature is super critical. The amount is critical. Everything is very exact.
It's down to the niche. Yeah, yes. It's very big. A lot of people are doing it on Instagram. So what else are you going to be doing?
So I have a really beautiful espresso machine. When I bought this thing, it's brand new. That was single the most expensive thing I've ever purchased in my life. So when I hit pay, I was like, oh my God, this is happening. Crazy. Yeah, I'm committed. So I have this beautiful espresso machine. So I'll do all your standard coffee shop drinks, lattes, macchiatos, espressos, all those things. And I'm also going to do blended drinks because we live in Texas. That would be silly if I didn't offer that for people. But I also have really fancy loose tea. So I'm going to do these tea trays that come in you get your own little teapot and a little thing of honey and maybe some cookies. Cool. And they're beautiful little trays, and have sweets. But the big fun thing that I'm offering is toast.
Okay.
So in the morning you order toast, and all the bread is going to be fresh made at the coffee shop.
Wow.
And you do combinations of butter, salt, and honey. And the salts, I have bacon cured salt, hot salt, truffle salt. Yes.
Bacon cured salt?
Yes, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. You said some other ones, but bacon cured salt caught my attention.
Yeah. So you do these combinations of butter and salt and honey, and so that will be offered as well.
God, I can get overloaded on that.
I thought she was going to go into avocado toast, but is that not a thing anymore?
Like, do it. No, it is, but it's like you can get that anywhere. And I'm like, I'm just going to let everybody else have the avocado toast. And I'm going to introduce some other ideas. Yeah, it's like some new concepts.
Another craft type bread. But another thing I want to talk about is the coffee shop. What it is. It's it isn't a gas station, an old gas station.
No,
right?
That's Bodega. So Bodega is my neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah. So my concept specifically, of course, is a full functioning coffee shop. But I'm an artist full time, and I'm going to continue to be an artist full time. So once things settle, I'm going to go back to painting. I will have to paint as well during, but full time back to painting. So my studio is built in the coffee shop. So I'll be there working anyway, but I'll be back in my studio painting while all the hustle and bustle is going on around me.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
You mentioned too before, it's going to be like it butts up to a bar or something, right? So you're going to be doing like a bar event too, or?
So I am offering BYOB because I'm not a big drinker, but I enjoy a glass of wine here and there and a nice beer, and I know everyone else does as well. So, but I want to kind of offer a place that facilitates drinkers and non-drinkers, so you don't feel obligated or uncomfortable, but you can still if you want. So it'll be BYOB, and I am backed up to Bodega, which is an awesome. Today's actually their 1 year anniversary of being open, so I'm really proud of them.
So are you going to be incorporating? You mentioned bread, but are you going to be doing food? Kind of a small menu? Yes.
So I'll do some sweet treats and things like that, some breakfast items, and then meat and cheese boards.
Okay.
Yeah. What is it? Charcuterie?
Yeah.
I just learned that word.
That's really good.
I can say it now.
I can't say it
before.
And aren't those super popular now? Everyone's making their own.
That's a thing.
It's such a thing.
Everybody found the word out though. It was always the cheese board. Now it's charcuterie.
And because of that, I've made it a point to only call them cheese boards. Like,
hell yeah.
It's a cheese
Let's
board.
fight. Can we fight against this? Because I'm done with it.
Fancy words.
Yeah.
So are you going to have a point of contention, I guess, is vegan friendly and non-dairy products? Are you going to have stuff like that too?
I'm vegetarian. I've been for 8 years. So I definitely, want to facilitate that as well. So I'll offer some gluten-free bread. So I have all these bread makers. So we'll set bread all day long running in the bread makers and going. So I'll do some gluten-free. And of course, much of the food is vegetarian. But in terms of the vegan stuff, like 2 people have asked me. You're the 3rd person. So I know there's not a high demand for it, but because I want to be, because I am me, I want to offer that eventually. So I would like to, I'll do some more research on getting some fun vegan stuff in there.
I'm not a vegan, but Mike is a vegan.
I had to have been one of the 3 people. If not, you're not counting me, and you have 4.
Now there's 4, yeah.
I like to say I dabble in veganism, but not the healthy side of it. And we like to eat sloppy vegan, but it's cool to say, well, yeah, it's kind of healthy. It's vegan, right?
Yeah, right.
It's ethical. What was I going to say? The bread. Are you a professional bread maker, or where'd you learn this?
No. In fact, that's one of my stressors that's on like my big list.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So I have these bread makers, and from what my friends have told me that have them, you literally just like put the ingredients in and press start, and it does all the stuff.
Oh.
So like a few weeks ago, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'm not a cook in any way. I make like frozen pizzas, and I'm pretty content.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You're this fancy artist, though. I'd imagine you just whipping up.
I don't have time. If there was like an extra 3 hours in a day, sure, I might be able to get into cooking, but there is no time.
For some reason, I picture you making a killer lasagna.
I don't know
no, why.
I never made lasagna.
No.
Lasagna.
I don't know why.
I don't even like lasagna.
Got that one wrong.
No. So I was like, I'm going to make some bread. So I unpackaged one of them, and I was looking at the directions. I was like, I didn't know what half the things were in the ingredient. I was like, I literally, and I'm not like, I've made muffins and stuff. I'm like, I don't even know what any of this is. Okay, I'm taking it to the store, and I gave up immediately.
Really?
And so this week, I have to get that machine, but
Going.
I need 100% need help.
I can get my mom down here. Did your mom have the white bread machine maker growing up?
Not mine.
No?
Not mine.
My mom would be so proud, and she's going to be mad at me saying it, but she'd be so proud of herself making this bread. But it was exactly what you said. She'd roll the dough, so she'd knit it or whatever, and then put it in this machine and press start, and then it'd be ready by dinner. And like, isn't the bread good? And like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Bread.
Yeah, it tastes like bread.
Yeah.
Bread's a process. That's all I wanted to ask. It's that you can really mess it up, and it can be. Yeah, you can screw it up, but
I've got days to figure it out.
Yeah, you put a lot of trust in your friend too. You're like, all right, I'll just buy this. It sounds like I could do it.
Yeah. I think so. My friend who has him, he makes loaves every day. He says it's like 12 cents or something. After he calculated the process, it's like 12 cents worth of ingredients, and you literally just, once you know exactly how much of what, you just throw it in. You don't even have to knead it. It does all that for this
Holy
machine's
cow.
cool. And you
Dang.
can add like nuts and toppings and all sorts of stuff.
That sounds really good.
It sounds consistent too.
Yeah.
Like it's once you get the hang of it, it'll always be the same, and that's what you want to build your customer base.
Let's talk about the sweets. What kind of sweets are you going to have?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So I have right now, I love macaroons so much. They're so sweet and pretty. So I have tons of beautiful macaroons. I have these, when I was ordering some of the product, I found these Rice Krispie treats. And, we've all had Rice.
Yeah.
We haven't. I don't think we have.
Oh,
by that face.
So this one that I sampled one, of course. It's a huge brick of a thing, and in the middle layer is a layer of like strawberry, white chocolate, and then chocolate stacked up, and it was, oh my goodness, so good.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So I have those coming. I have biscotti.
What's biscotti?
The best way to describe it is like almost like crispy bread that you dip in coffee, and you can get it almost has the consistency of a crouton, but it's like they're like strips, and you can do like cranberry or pistachio.
That's like some Italian stuff. I got a buddy of mine's Italian, and his parents did that.
Yeah.
It's real fancy.
Yeah, it's just so fancy.
Really sophisticated. I'm gonna go there and do that.
It's gonna be on the map pretty soon.
What else do you got?
I think that covers most of it as of right now.
Is it gonna be kind of a baked fresh daily thing? Like that's a big time commitment.
So there's all these rules in Texas about baking, and my kitchen's not equipped to facilitate a full bakery today. It could be in the future, so I have to bring stuff in. The bread's one thing because I'm just, again, it's just the bread makers, but I'm bringing in all my goodies and treats from external sources.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I was going to ask, because you have a lot to do here. You're telling us all these desserts, the breads, the different coffees.
I know.
And have you done a stress test yet? Yeah. Is that the 12th, or is that you're just opening?
Oh, we're opening.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. But I think to not overload myself or my staff, we're going to open with a limited menu.
Okay.
Just so the 5 drinks we are making that day are really good, and my staff can, because I'm going to be the person that's bustling around, quality, making sure everybody's happy and helping this person and helping this person, but I need them to be ready to go.
Right.
So, yeah.
Are you doing an kind of a grand opening or a soft opening and then shutting down for a week and rehashing, or are you just doing
open? We're just open.
Wow.
You're brave.
I know.
I would at least on like the 11th bring in friends and say order everything, and I'm just gonna try to make all this stuff on time.
Well, so this starting Monday is training, so that will kind of, once we can start screwing around with the machine a little bit, that will, I think, naturally happen. Like, hey, come over and let me make you a drink so we can just practice.
Nice.
With it. Yeah.
So you already sounds like you got your staff already.
Yeah, I hired my staff, which was crazy, and I had to, turning people away was really hard because, I'm not, but I wanted everyone to, I think it's a really great team, and I'm excited to have them. I'm grateful to have them.
That's really nice. So looking in the future a little bit, you have any expansion plans with the coffee if it's very successful? I imagine you got a very nice aura about yourself where people just want to be around you. So
thank you.
I imagine your coffee house is going to be really successful. So is that crept in your mind?
I am an insatiable person. So I always want more, and all of these things that are coming to fruition in my life are all very new. So I didn't think, if you would have asked me, 5 years ago, 10 years, if this was going to be what I was doing today, there'd be, of course I'd be like, no way, I was lost for so long. So I would say absolutely yes. I'm always wanting to grow now that I know how to do it and how to present myself and how to organize the business side of things, because I feel like as an artist, a big reason why that's just not a common career is because most creative people aren't analytical. And my mom's a chemical engineer, so she's some of that is in me. So right. I do one of those little personality tests. I'm right down the middle with creative and analytical. So I think that's really important to be a good business person as well as be good at what you're trying to do. But so yeah, of course I want to grow.
Are you
forever?
Are you originally from this area?
Wyoming.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think you'd be a Lake Jackson girl.
No, I'm from Wyoming.
What is so both of your parents are chemical engineers or in the engineering field?
My dad still lives in Wyoming, and he's in the oil field. So he's like a wild mountain man, cowboy boots, and
reminds me of Mike.
He's pretty amazing.
Without all that, I look the part, but not amazing either.
But my mom, we moved down here so she could work at Dow. Okay. So she's a chemical engineer, and she married a chemical engineer. So my stepdad is.
So wow. You going into the art realm, was that kind of a hustle or a disappointment, I guess, for your family?
No, not that necessarily. But like when we moved here, I went through probably like a 15-year-long identity crisis, like truly all throughout the end of my teenage years and all throughout my 20s until I got pregnant. I was like, I had no idea what I was going to do with I moved around a lot. I couldn't hold on to anything. Nothing just quite felt right to me. And I was just lost. And of course that frustrated my mom, who is very like in the box. And, they, in high school, they wanted me to decide what I was going to college for. And I was like, I have no idea. So I went for math, and then I went for business, and then I went for art, and then I dropped out of all these because none of them, I was bored in college. So when I got pregnant, I was like, I need to find out a way that I can be home with my baby, because I didn't want to send him off to daycare, and I wanted to nurse him and all those things. So I started just doing painting parties, like when you go to, you drink wine and you learn.
With a twist. What is
painting with a twist. So I had my own little business and I did parties, and I would literally be teaching and I had my little baby in my arms nursing while I was teaching these classes, and everyone was so accepting and let me do this. And it was really, I'm grateful because that's really what started everything. So, and now that I'm in this stage where I'm opening this business, my stepdad's very proud of me. Yep. My mom, we just have we have one of those. We're just very different. So yeah.
So you got into art late, it sounds like.
I did.
Wow. That doesn't, I would expect you to be a natural.
I am, but I just, again, I was so lost. I didn't know what to paint, or I wasn't investing in it in the way that I do now. And so
you're on point with all your colors and the way you merge them together.
Thank you.
My brain doesn't work that way, so I don't know how the hell you do it.
Thank you.
But you just started, and what made you decide I'm going to do a business? Like, how did you decide with art? Because, like you said, that's a tough field.
And I suffered for a long time into it. I was very, very. I was a single mom living in a tiny apartment, trying to paint. Like I gave my kids the bedroom, and my room was in the living room, and my little art table was right next to my bed, and I was just hustling. And that's one thing I was thinking about this morning when I was thinking about what we would talk about is, a lot of people, especially young girls that could be women as well, they want to know, like, hey, I want to be an artist, so what do I need to do? And I'm like, get ready you have to paint every single day and hustle constantly. And that's where they're like, I lose them immediately. They're like, oh, I really don't want to do it that much though. And I was like, well, then you're probably not going to be, this won't be your career then.
Yeah. If you don't want to make time to do stuff, the things that you think you want to do, you can't be a part-time half-assed person. For sure.
And they're like, well, I want to be in a gallery. I'm like, it takes a long time. You don't just get to be in a gallery. Like, you have to paint every day and actually show quality work, because you can be a good artist and you can paint a face very well, but there's so many other parts. Like, is what you're painting important? Does it mean something? Because there's art for the sake of art, which is like, Hobby Lobby art, like what you see, flowers, and people like that stuff just fine, sure. But if you want to be in galleries like around the world and be an international artist, you have to be painting stuff that's important and meaningful and most importantly, honest. Because if you're painting from your emotional quotient and it's true and honest, and you're going to reach tons of other people, because it's the human condition, right? Like I'm touching a part of you that maybe you don't share with people. And that's when art is successful. That's whenever you elevate up here versus like, she does silly murals around town. No, it's like she's in galleries in this place and this place, and her work's all over.
So did you start out only painting, or were you doing drawings and then that kind of transcended into painting? How did it escalate?
When I was in high school, I was always doodling, goofing around. I would draw people's names a lot. My folders were covered in little dumb drawings, but I started just doing really bad paintings with my little paint and wine business. They weren't anything remarkable because I had to be able to teach the painting to people who are non-artists. I did that for like 2.5 years, and then gave away all the equipment and started just doing commissions, which facilitated me into my first actual collection of personal work, which was a huge feat for me, because I was, getting these ideas through my body into my hand and to a nice painting is a whole process that takes a lot of time to figure that out. And once I was able to do that, then it just kind of just happened. Yeah.
What would you say your style of art is? I see you can do pretty much everything, but what do you favor? What would you rather do among everything?
So in terms of, I would say my personal work, and typically that comes through in portraiture. I love doing nudes. I love doing self-portraits. And I get a lot of people, non-artists don't understand that concept. And I've even been accused of being narcissistic because of my self-portraiture. And I was like, well, hang on. Like, sure, everybody exhibits narcissistic tendencies in different ways. Like that's just part of the human condition. But hold up, artists do self-portraits, because I'm a free model. I'm always available. I'm not going to, I'm free.
Right.
But this is the one that really means something to me is when I'm painting my own personal work, it truly comes from my emotional quotient. And it only makes sense that I am the picture of what I'm trying to express within myself. And that's just where I'm at as an artist. That may evolve and change and become more abstract or become more external, but right now it's very internal. And that's me working through, pathological trauma, just relationships. That's just where I am right now.
I bet that's very, it's almost like therapy for you then.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you do draw yourself, it looks like you're in fear a lot of the times.
Uh-huh.
Is that the trauma you're talking about? Mm-hmm. And it's really good. I was going to ask you, when you draw yourself, when you draw another person, you're like, oh, I got it. This looks like the person. Is it a little strange drawing yourself and knowing that you've got yourself? And you're like, what is that experience when you do that?
So as coming from a technical standpoint, there's parts of ourselves that we don't like, right? Like physical traits. I try to be as honest as possible, which means I paint my little gap teeth. I paint all the little things about myself that I don't really care for because I want to be true and tell the truth. But yes, I have all these portraits and I'm really open and forthcoming about my story and about what my art pieces mean. So sometimes it is if I stand back and look at it objectively, I'm like, oh my gosh, people know so much about my personal life just through my work. And I'm not like secretive about it. I'm pretty like, yeah, that's what that means. That happened then and that happened then. And that's what all that's about. So yeah, sometimes it's a lot.
Do you think people see your art the way you do?
I think many do because I'm so vocal about what I'm painting about. Oh. Because if you ask me, I will absolutely tell you.
And the angle I was getting at is nobody sees you like you see yourself, mm-hmm. and you'll never know how they see you. So when you paint yourself, I would imagine, it looks a little different through your mind.
Yes.
And it may not look like you, but every picture I see that you've done, I know that's partially it's the bangs, but
I know my signature bang. Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely a brand. Like I think we talked about that before. It's you have a good look, a branding look, and you look like an artist, definitely.
Thank you.
So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, someone once said, they were like, I think you'd look better if you grow your bangs out. And I was like, well, I'm not, so bye.
Bye,
Felicia. No. How long, so when you paint people of other, or do portraits of other people, mm-hmm. how long does that take you? Is that a one-time session, or do you just get...
Because I'm multitasking a lot, a couple sessions, but I'm a really fast painter. Wow. I can whip through those, no problem.
About how many do you do of those a year?
Paintings?
Well, yeah, of other people, because you said you do nude art too, so I imagine that takes some time. Again,
I'm a really quick painter, and you learn to, and this is what I teach my students, because I teach as well. Mm. You have to, like our brain, like say you're going to paint a tree, like we can think in our mind space, and we all know what a tree looks like, right? We're wrong. We're so wrong. We need reference pictures. We need to go look at a tree or go take a photograph of a tree. And once you learn to paint or draw what you see versus what your mind thinks something looks like, that when you open that door, then everything starts happening. Wow. And you can do it really quickly because I'm looking at this bottle and I'm going to paint that bottle. I'm not going to paint what I think that bottle looks like. I'm just going to paint that bottle. Yeah. And it becomes a quicker process.
That's funny you mentioned that. I think when I first met you, you were painting these coasters for somebody.
They were ornaments.
Yeah.
Christmas ornaments.
And you were doing it as you were talking to us, or you were on the phone too, and you were just doing it and kind of just
forever
looking.
Multitasking.
I was like, how the hell is she doing that shit?
Yeah. It's talent, man. Yeah.
I always have like a book or some sort of audible going on or music, and people always want to see what I'm doing, and then I'm always multitasking.
What kind of books are you into?
So I like classic literature. I was like existentialist literature. Well, that was big in that about a year ago, and I had to kind of like slow down because it was stressing me out a little bit. Like I read The Myth of Sisyphus and Albert Camus and all that. And I love Camus a lot, but my favorite writer is Vladimir Nabokov, who wrote Lolita.
Okay.
And Lolita is like my muse forever.
I'm not familiar with that. Give us a rundown.
So it's a tender. It's like on the banned books list, or was, but Lolita.
Banned books.
Oh, how do I describe it? Because people hate Lolita, and it's
Really?
because it's about a man, Humbert, who has an obsession with young girls who he calls nymphets, and he falls in love with one, Dolores Hayes, aka Lolita, aka Lola, and who I just share, which I think is amazing that I share her namesake. But he basically, again, I'm trying not to butcher this for everyone who hasn't read it, but he abducts her and takes her around the country. So Nabokov was Russian, and he moved to the United States, and a lot of people think Lolita was like a way for him to explore Western culture, because in the book, Humbert and Lolita travel all over the United States doing these things. But that's what it's about. It's very poetic. It's a brilliant piece of work. Just brilliant.
So do you typically listen or do you read?
Because I'm so busy, Audible is my jam.
Yeah, and you can get in that artistic mind space when you listen to music or books. Easier, I think. When I used to draw, I love listening to music, and I just drift away.
Yeah, that book makes my listenings to like World's Greatest Runner or whatever. That sound boring as hell.
Those bullshit books you read.
No, I mean, it's
I'm listening to biographies about Barack Obama or George Bush.
Amazing. Yeah,
but not artistic. It makes it sound boring.
Yeah.
Well, I like poetry. I also write. I've published one book of poetry.
What the hell? What is it?
You didn't have this in the notes.
Yeah.
Bud.
Can we pause and I'll put this back in the notes?
Down.
Yeah.
Tell us about the book.
Yeah.
So, my first art collection was called She Is Circus, and it was exploring like a woman's crazy up and down emotional complex. And I wrote a book of poetry that corresponded with the paintings. And it also kind of had to do with a really toxic, bad person I was engaged with at the time. So he inspired much of it. But the poetry, you can find it on Amazon. And now that I have this book, that was a few years ago, and I've written so much more since then. I'm like, ugh, no one go find that, because I have such better, work now. But I wanted to publish again, but again, I've just been so busy. So I do a lot of I'll put a poem up on Instagram or something like that.
That's awesome. So you obviously have future plans to write more books or more poetry.
Did you already have that skill set?
No. Oh my gosh. No. So like 10 years ago, I met this girl, Laura, and she was a writer, and it's beautiful. I love her. She was so inspiring to me. And she's actually the one who introduced me to Lolita and Nabokov. But she was a writer, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, how are you doing that? None of it made sense. And she was like, and she kind of taught me, and it took a long time. And because poetry can sound so trite and ridiculous, and the metaphors are just like cringy. Even famous poets that you see on Instagram a lot are just like, oh God, that's just, you just wrote that in different words, reconstructed. So actually coming up again, just like with art, something that's important, creative, done well, honest. It's challenging, but usually if I have a poem, I'm driving or something, and I'm like, oh, that's a good line. And I'll like pull out my little notepad on my phone and type it out really quick, and then hit it later on when I'm sitting down for coffee or something and write a quick little poem. That's
very nice. So you mentioned you listen to poetry. You also listen to music. What kind of music you listening to when you're in your artistic moods?
So Lana Del Rey is my favorite. Everyone knows that.
Love it.
But yeah,
everybody knows that.
I mean, woo! I love her. I also like just indie folk. Let's see. I love Sufjan Stevens. He's brilliant. Let's see. The Fleet Foxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you play instruments or do you sing?
No.
Come on.
Terrible. No,
not a good singer?
No.
I was gonna ask
real
that.
Bad. Yeah. I wish I could. Real bad.
I took your question. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Can I ask it this time?
Yeah.
Give me a different answer then.
So what is a typical day like? Because you're also big into exercise, right? So with your painting, you're starting up a business. What does a typical day like look for Lola?
So my alarm goes off at 5:45, and I kind of lay around in bed for a second, and then I try to sneak out because my kids have likely snuck into the bed with me, and I have 2 little boys, and I go make my coffee, and I sit in front of the stove on the floor and drink my coffee. And then I get them ready for school. We're out the door by 7:30, and I get them dropped off. I always go to Brew and Bake in the morning,
You don't
which
say.
is going to be a little bit I literally have been going there for like 9 years.
Wow.
Almost every day. So there's going to be like a little bit of a divorce that's about to happen.
Is there a big competition? I imagine this is going to be like the East, like Tupac versus Biggie Smalls kind of thing.
I hope not. I mean, I think naturally people will fall into the place that suits them.
Yeah.
My place.
But it's going to be so different.
Yeah.
It's just a different vibe totally. So I hope not. And I love them and respect them very much. But then I'm off to work. Well, I've picked up pole fitness, which I love very much. So I've been doing pole in the morning. And then I go off to work, and that whether that entails me working at the studio on the paintings or on site, like doing a mural. Like I've been in Houston this last week working on a mural up there. And then get the kids from school and then back to working out. So I go to the gym for about 2 hours in the afternoon, late afternoon. And then we go home and do homework and try to squeeze in food at some point. And yeah, kids are in bed by 8. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you work out every day?
Uh-huh.
And the pole fitness, what inspired you to do that?
So Laura, the girl I mentioned earlier, she got into it and she was competing, and she's total amateur, just like I am. And she did really well. And I was like, man, this was a few years ago. I was like, I really want to do that, but I just didn't know how to facilitate it. And then I went to see her in August this last year, and her pole is in the middle of their living room. And I was like, all right, let's have a crash course. And I took to it right away. And as soon as I got back from Austin, I bought a pole online, and it came in, and I set it up in my studio, and the rest is history. And because I work out so much, I'm relatively strong, so it's not as difficult for me to invert or do more complicated combinations and spins and things, but I love it.
What did the competitions look like? I didn't realize there were pole competitions.
There are pole fitness competitions. So in pole, there are different avenues and directions you can take. So we all know about exotic pole, which is kind of what, like exotic dancers do. There's clothing that comes off. And then there's lyrical pole, which is more dancing. You have a routine that you go through. You usually wear like a pretty costume. And then there's pole fitness. And pole fitness involves more of like the challenging power holds, more tricks.
Wow.
I'm way into the more pole fitness. Like I don't wear the pleasers, which are the shoes.
The pleasers?
They're called pleasers.
Okay.
So I don't do any of the clacking or anything, which is totally fine, but I don't do that. I'm barefoot and I'm in clothing that's comfortable. And yeah, I'm more interested in doing cool tricks up there.
Did you do yoga before?
Mm-hmm.
Because that pole fitness reminds me of yoga. If you're able to hold your weight on that pole for a long period of time.
Yeah, strength and flexibility.
Oh, man, that's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has your pole ever fell?
No. Oof.
I've seen some videos where it's,
my dad, he's like, well, first he'll make the joke, well, don't go become a stripper or anything. And I'm like, all right, Dad. But then he's like, did you see that video? The girl at, and I'm like, Dad, I'm not going to look up that stuff. And I won't. Like, I refuse. If someone sent it to me, I just don't even look at it because I'm not trying to get that in my head.
Yeah, I am so about that.
Yeah.
I don't like watching people getting hurt or anything because then it could become like a reality.
For sure. It's not good for you.
Planting the seed a little bit.
Yeah, I have too much good. I'm not trying to take out the good, put bad in there. No.
What other exercises do you incorporate?
So at the gym, I do cardio, of course, because it's good mostly it's good for that little 30 minutes is good for my brain and my emotionality, but I lift weights and I'm all about the core, so I do lots of core stuff every day, but I'm new to the gym. I've only been going for, I guess it's almost 2 years and a few months. Before that, I got really thin after I had kids and thin and weak and just like my back hurt a lot, and I want to be healthy and industrious for them. So as they get older, I can hang and do all the stuff that they want to do and climb the mountains and, do the rope courses and all the things that kids want to do. So I decided to invest in getting stronger. So I've put on quite a bit of weight just from going to the gym, which is cool. But yeah, I just kind of go in there and I know my way around now. It took a little while.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what, I guess sounds like you just recently, you said 2 years. Did you talk to a friend? Mike and I are really interested in the fitness and diet, nutrition, all that stuff. So who inspired you to get into fitness? Because it looks like you've been in for a long time.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So at Evolution, which was Powerhouse just not too long ago, Fresh and Fit was in there. Fresh and Fit, that she makes smoothies and things.
Yeah.
So she had her place was within the gym. She had hired me to do a big mural on the wall. So I started, and the mural took several days, and I'd come in there and I'd watch everyone kind of working out, and she was super fit, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not like a gym person. It's boring, I want to be outside, that kind of just like not real fitness, but just be active, and I kept showing up, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this, and I started it, and it was hard in the beginning, for sure. You've got to, because I kept looking at the timer, on the little elliptical. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just 20 minutes in. This is the worst. And it's just not like that anymore. Right. There's a process, and it does take time. So when people ask me, I want to get into it, but same thing with the other thing. I'm like, get ready to invest some time. It's not going to happen like that. You've got to show up and, get over the hump.
It's easier to come up with excuses. I don't have time. That's the easy excuse to say. Do you do any running outside?
No, during COVID, I picked up running for a little while. And that was tough. Of all the things, pole, weightlifting, all that, running was the hardest. Really? But I managed to do it for a couple months. And then when the gyms opened back up again, I started running on the treadmill, and then I'd hurt my ankle or something and adjusted to doing speed walking on an incline. Yeah. And someone was like, that's just as well. I mean, the same thing essentially. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. So I don't run anymore. It
seems like your mind is going at 1,000 miles an hour all the time.
That's
That's why I really think you'd get into ultra running. That's what Mike and I are hoping to dabble into this year.
And what's that?
It's just anything above a marathon. So marathon's 26.2
oh my gosh,
miles.
And
we did a 30 miler. We went from here to Lake Jackson to the college. So
wow.
We were practicing, but we just want to get in that you get in a creative space that way too with running.
Yeah.
You may have saw that.
I accessed that a couple times. Yeah. And I was like, oh, because everyone runners talk about it.
Yeah.
And I had hit it a couple times, and there's moments where I'm disappointed that I didn't stick through the shift into when I stopped running and doing other stuff. But yeah, I had signed up for Ramvar, or it's a relay up in the Austin area.
Oh, really?
You set up a team and you camp.
I've heard of this.
Or Ramvar, something like that. But you basically have each runner has 3 runs. One is 3 miles, 5 miles and 8 miles. And it doesn't matter what time it is, when you're up, you run. So it could be 3 a.m. and you've got to do your 8-mile run. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so fun. So then I canceled it, but I was trying to put a team together for that.
That's almost like
we were going to do that.
Yeah.
That was in a different, is it in a different
here.
state?
It's
Which,
here.
is it Dallas?
It's somewhere north of us, for
sure.
We
were going to do that too. I was trying to convince them, but they were less into trail running at that time. So that'd have been weird to see you up there.
Yeah.
That reminds me of is it Cameron Haynes or David Goggins that does the 4x4x4 challenge or something like that?
My.
So it's for a 4-day period, you do 4 miles every 4 hours.
Wow.
And it's so big now. A lot of people I follow on Instagram are doing that.
For 4 days straight.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's intense. And you posting it and everyone's sharing it.
Yeah.
That's the fitness community is really inspiring and really great to be a part of, because no one is bashing you or putting you down.
No, man. When I'm on the treadmill and I'm looking out across the gym floor, and I've seen the same people for the last year and a half in there at the same time I go. I've seen their bodies change, and I'm just like, man, y'all are awesome,
killing it.
Yes, so cool.
Yeah.
Something more recently that I've been getting into that Mike's been talking to me is when I first started running, I was listening to music, and then I've been getting into podcasts and books more. But I've been not listening to anything, and I find that I always come up with like these quirky ideas, or whether it's work related or this podcast related or something I want to go tell my family about. I really think you should give it a shot. I think it'd just blow your mind away. Your mind is just going all the time.
Cool. Well, I'm into it.
And she gets that from working out. What is that article you read about creativity?
Yeah, so there was this article on New York Times. I shared with Mike earlier this week. I was like, "Oh, timely article for Lola," but it was saying that fitness or some type of vigorous activity stimulates creativity in people. It also enhances mood. So when we see you out in public, you're always smiling, you're always happy, and it speaks truth to it. So
I'm telling you that every little aspect that I invest in is there for a reason. And it was self-discovered, and I feel like it's easy. It becomes easy. It's not a chore for me to when 4:00 hits to go get changed, to go to the gym. It's just like, it's time to go work out. Woo! I get to go put my kids in the daycare and get to go just have fun.
Yep.
And not have to work for anybody. I don't have to talk to a client. It's just for me.
It's time.
Yeah, I get to go in there and have fun.
That's very nice.
See what my body can do.
So do you do it every day, or about how many times a day do you do it? Or a week do you do it?
Yeah, I just about every day.
Wow.
When I have to skip a day, it's only because I have to. In fact, last night I was reading about taking breaks, because doing the pole and the gym, and I actually started. I've had one training of jiu-jitsu, which I want to get into.
Oh my God!
I know.
Where at?
Well, my boyfriend, he's a brown belt, and so Jason Wadley, who owns the Taekwondo studio just down the way from Stardust, actually, he teaches Taekwondo. But I went, and my boyfriend came, and we all trained together. But I rolled with them that first day, each of them, and they're especially John. He's a big guy. I'm pretty sure he armbarred me and pulled my arm out. So
oh no!
So it didn't hurt while I was fighting, because your adrenaline's going so much. But about an hour later, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. So that night he kind of had to put it back into place. And that was about a month ago, and I'm just feeling better on my shoulder.
Wow.
What was I getting at? What did you ask me?
I don't remember. But do you put your kids? Are you going to put your kids into that too?
So they just started Taekwondo this week. Yeah. Oh, it's so cute. They're little geese. Oh, they're so excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's I think the more and more I think about it, because I got kids as well. The more and more I think about it, those types, the running, the jiu-jitsu, I think that's where I want to lead my kids into.
Yes,
rather
the
than
discipline,
football.
The self-discipline. Yeah.
Yes, because it's not. With my oldest one, Piper, he has a confidence issue, and that's my directive with him is, Piper, you are good on your own. You don't need to copy that kid. You can do this right here. This is you, between you and your master here. And with River is such a free spirit. He's just like me, just happy as the second he opens his eyes, he's ready to tell jokes and have fun. And he needs just some structure. So his first day, he was just bouncing off the walls and telling everyone, tickle my feet. I'm like, River, you can't, not right now.
I'll tap out, just tickle him. I'll tap out, I promise.
Like, now's not the time. But he was so excited, and it was just awesome to see them doing that.
Yeah, the confidence that they get. Yeah, it's infectious.
Yeah, and I think what we hear from the jiu-jitsu gym a lot of the times is you have to think steps ahead, and it makes you more analytical. So you bring that into your regular life as well. You start thinking about what I could do to prepare. Kind of like you do. You've done the pole, you've done working out to kind of help your art, and your art helps your working out.
Yes.
So I think it'd be really good to build structure for kids. And then you also go in there and you're nobody. You can get tapped out by, a 5-year-old girl real quick. So it humbles you.
Yes.
And then when you'll build confidence because you can, handle yourself with another person. And then you just become more friendly because that fear's gone that you would naturally have when you don't know what the outcome's going to be in a situation like that.
Yeah.
And you just become a nice guy.
I think it's really important for little girls to be in it. The more parents I talk to or videos or testimonials I watch on YouTube, it's really important for little girls to get in that stuff.
Yeah, there's some in his class and they're just the cutest. Yeah, it's awesome.
So what else is planned for Lola? You got a lot going on.
I know. Right now, like as of today, I'm just so I have a lot of commissions. My books are always about 2 months booked out on artwork. And Valentine's Day is, I scheduled my opening right at the same time. So I have a lot of Valentine's paintings that are due. So that's getting those done and then getting this laundry list of things wrapped up for my opening. So that's right here. That's where I'm at.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We normally say this for the end, but I feel like this is a long process. So like if someone wanted to get a custom Lola piece, how do they even do that?
Oh, they just find me and talk to me, shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram. It's pretty simple. We can do it all through like Messenger, things like that.
Real easy. And we've talked before. I know you like to customize your own thing if they'll let you, but you can also paint portraits of them or whatever.
Oh yeah, whatever. I mean, the list of commissions I get is vast. It's all sorts of different. Some of it's commercial, some of it's personal, some of it's like one of the Valentine's paintings I'm doing, a girl wanted to have me paint a nude of her for her boyfriend for Valentine's Day. So she actually came into the studio. Wow. I photographed her and I'll paint from the photographs.
I was going to ask, no one just sits there and waits to be painted, right?
No, I've done those. I've done those, but just for time's sake, I can't do that a lot.
Just straight Titanic style.
Yeah. Oh, people love it too.
I bet there's probably an experience with that maybe that people want to.
Is there any difference between taking a photo and doing it in person?
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
What's the mood? I imagine you get more of a real vibe, but what's
so it's just different. I mean, they're both wonderful. I did a portrait study class this summer, and we had models come in every week, nude models come in, and they would stand up on the stage, and we would draw them for 2 hours. And it's a really neat experience. They feel liberated and beautiful, and then at the end, we get to show them all these drawings of them. Wow! And so it's a really neat little interpersonal connection happening. And the same thing happens whenever I photograph you because they're nervous. And I have all these nude pictures of them in my phone. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I promise I'm not that kind of person. You're safe with me. And then I paint these really beautiful portraits of them. It's just a different process. So
do you teach the class at your art studio?
I did. So I stopped teaching as of the end of this year, last year, just because of, again, time. But I'd been teaching for several years, but they would come to my studio and we would every Tuesday night.
Is that something you're looking to pick back up? Because no, I imagine that's a big passion of yours.
It was, if I were to be honest. So my first studio was a few doors down from my latest, and when I wanted to move into the bigger one, I needed to make up the delta in rent, and I was like, okay, how can I have a secure amount of money coming in? So I was like, I'll do teaching. That makes perfect sense. So now that I just don't need to do it anymore, but also it's a time thing. But a lot of my students, they actually messaged me the other day. They've come up with their own art group and they're going to host it at Stardust. So I get to see them all and they're going to be in there drawing and stuff. So I'll wander over and play with them and help show them some stuff. But anyone can message me. I have no secrets. I will show you everything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I want you to do well. And there's no secrets. So anyone can message me, hey, what do I do here? I would tell them what to do. Yeah. Or my best instruction.
I imagine local people are probably inspired by you because I don't know how, I'm not in the art world, but I don't imagine a lot of artists in like Jackson that are successful. So I think, classes they want to go learn from the best, but also like teaching little kids, sparking their interest early on, and bringing them in for like a
they're
kid.
sweet.
Yeah. And I think I know you like being around kids, so that'd be pretty cool to do for the community too. Like, you know, get the kids going.
If things calm down again, which I don't see that happening, but then yeah. But they come visit me. They bring me little cards, and their parents will send me videos of them drawing and stuff, and they love their Lola Startdust. I'm just like, oh.
Where did you get the Stardust?
Yeah.
So in Lolita, there's a line of poetry which is my favorite. Are you gonna let me recite it?
No.
I want to.
Is it? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Please.
so
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Okay, because everyone thinks it's from Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie, which I love David Bowie, but it is not from him, although, you know, I love him. So the line reads, okay, so context. Humbert and Lola separate. She goes off to do her own thing, and he's in despair over, you know, the loss of his love. So there's a very long poem, but the last line reads, my car is limping, Dolores Hayes, and the last long lap is the hardest, and I shall be dumped where the weed decays, and the rest is rust and stardust.
Wow. That's
Isn't
awesome.
it good?
You got it. You did
That's
it.
awesome.
So good.
Dude, you memorized that. That's
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
She's passionate about that.
I collect Lolitas. So there's like hundreds of covers that were made for this book, and I've got about 20 out of like literal hundreds.
Oh.
No way. And why was it banned? I guess because of the stories.
Because of the content.
Controversial.
Yeah, there's romantic scenes, for lack of a better term, so most people think that the book, and again, I feel like they're coming from a place of probably their own trauma or insecurity, or like, you just can't write stuff like that. That's so inappropriate. And I'm like, yeah, but you're right. Like, that's not okay. That's not, like, what he did is not okay, but that's not the point of the book.
Right.
You have to really like think in a big way about how well this book was written.
Was that banned recently? I imagine.
No.
Oh, it was a
No,
long
no.
time ago? I imagine with this culture today, it was a recent thing.
Lolita is loved by like quirky little college girls who that, you know, they love to love Lolita.
So your coffee house, are you going to be selling art there too, or people can grab?
I'll hang my paintings that I have available on the walls out there. So yeah.
That's very nice.
Are you going to do the traditional coffee art?
No.
You don't want to go that far, huh?
Some of people's suggestions, I'm like, no, I'm
so
not going
much.
to do that.
Yeah. You got to do your own thing. I
I
really,
have my own ideas.
yeah, no, you need to stick with that because you're building something that's going to be brand new.
Yeah.
I really like the direction downtown like Jackson's going to.
I know, isn't it amazing?
It's got an Austin-y vibe, like what you said with Bodega. You know, they're like an old gas. They're renovating. You know, is that the right word?
Yeah, renovating.
They're renovating the gas station, so it's got that little vibe, and you're going to be next door.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't always this way,
No.
but now you can go and hop from place to place down there, and it's positive too.
Yeah.
We need more artists to go down there, and there's a lot of art. Oh yeah, there's a lot of artists. There's a lot of art in Lake Jackson on buildings. Have you done any of that?
They're mostly mine.
Really?
Did you do the what is the Mexican place? In
Okay,
downtown?
so the Frida Kahlo.
Yeah,
no,
Frida.
so there's another big artist, and he works mostly in West Columbia, but he's under the moniker Gonzo, I think. No, not Gonzo. That's somebody else. Oh darn, I forgot. But he does a lot of work in West Columbia, and we both bid that job, and she went with him.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
wow! Yeah, either way, it would have been a success. But
it's fine.
what are some of your art in downtown so people could know?
Oh my
That'd be
gosh.
Interesting.
It's
Maybe
all over.
the bigger ones.
So downtown, I did most of Polypop. The flowers on that building.
Across the street.
Across the street, all of those. There's a couple buildings down. I did all those. The Grape Taste.
Oh.
I mean, they're all over the place. There's
did Grape
Angel
Taste
Wings
too?
down there.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
There's more than I even knew. I knew
Yeah.
like a handful of them, but
Many in Freeport, many in Houston, Angleton. Angleton has my biggest one right across from Dirty South. It says "Love Yourself."
Yeah.
It's huge.
Oh,
I
yeah.
did that one last summer.
did you do the wing one? In downtown Lake Jackson? Yeah? Where you can stand and have the wings?
Yeah.
Wow. People love those
know.
little picture
Yeah.
worthy paintings on,
Yeah, the
on back
interactive
walls. Yeah.
murals. Yeah.
That's like that mural in Austin, that I Love You, that popular
Yes.
one. You see that one everywhere?
And there's a little copycat over in Angleton too.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I hadn't
I
seen
heard
that
of
one.
Is that artist known in Austin, or is that just some random art that was never supposed to be art?
I mean, I have no idea.
They covered
But
it up
is.
not too long ago.
No, they didn't.
Well, they
And
covered
then-
it up and then they
redid
redid it.
Yeah, Austin was pissed.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's part of our whole thing.
How dare you?
Have you done any in Austin?
No
No.
murals in Austin.
You got to get over there.
Yeah,
There's too many
So
artists.
I moved there. Okay, so everyone, when I was just starting, I was like maybe 2 years in, everyone was like, you have to move to Austin. It's like your place. It's such your vibe and stuff. And I was like, you're right. This was 6 years ago. And I went and I hated it. Oh,
Why did you hate
I
it?
love to visit Austin. It's fun, but living there is just not the
It's
same.
awful. Yeah.
It is expensive. There's so many people. So like there's all these free events, but you have to fight like thousands of people to get to them. So you don't actually get to go because you've walked now 4 miles from it's just none of it made sense. And in terms of art, everyone's an artist there. So you just get lost in the bowl of,
Right.
And I did an art show there, downtown Austin. It was a group show, which I won't do anymore, but it was a group show, and the people who organized the event were so rude and just no.
Yeah.
I was just a ticket for them, like they put me like in this corner and just no.
I don't like. I'm originally. I don't know if you know where Dripping Springs is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Oh,
so I
cool.
grew
It's
up in the
pretty
Austin
there.
area. I feel the same way. Traffic is terrible.
Yes.
There's always the music scene was I guess popping when I was growing up, but parking was terrible.
Yeah.
$40 a parking spot.
Yes.
It's just awful. The
Yes.
food though, you can't beat the food.
Yeah,
the food's
the food's
amazing.
good.
The food is good.
Yeah.
I think we always compare things to Austin and Texas, at least. And, you got the whole Joe Rogan moving from California, and they think they're going to make, Austin like California.
Yeah.
But we can make our own thing. And I think y'all are doing it in like Jackson with the business owners now.
Yeah.
I
know-
think it's going to get to a point where people want to be there,
Yeah. I know the people that I rent from, Corey Anderson, he owns a lot of the spaces down there. They're such I cannot be more grateful to them because he really does want to see me succeed. He believes in me. He believes in his other tenants that are down there doing well. Like and they have a kind of agreement that there's no competition within, under his umbrella. So like they won't bring another artist in under
really?
him because I get that spot. And same thing if there's a girl doing lashes, they're not going to bring another lash girl in because she gets that spot.
That's really cool.
That's really great. Yeah, you mentioned Lake Jackson kind of booming right now. I think that flow from Pearland is starting to come this way. I mean, Pearland, kind of Iowa County or Iowa Colony, I guess. That's starting to drift down here.
Yeah.
Before you had to drive to Houston to do
Yes.
stuff. Just in the last, I would say, 3 years,
Oh,
right?
for
It's
sure.
kind of been booming there.
And the whole Dry County thing, not a lot of bars would open down there.
Yes.
And so you didn't have anything to go to. Everything closed. It used to close at like 10 or 9 or something. Chili's was the place that stayed
That's
open.
it.
Yeah.
And Taco Bell.
And you go hang out at Walmart. It was like if you want to go do anything else. So Lake Jackson came a long way.
It has, yeah.
Yeah.
It's neat to be a part of it.
So we're an hour deep, Lola.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? You want to just plug your social media, and then
Sure. Yeah.
we'll also put it in the little videos.
Yeah,
That way they
so-
can click on it.
On Facebook, the best way to get to me is just my personal page, which is Suzanne Lola. And then I have business pages for Stardust Art and Coffeehouse, as well as my art, Lola Startdust Fine Art. And the same thing on Instagram, at Lola Startdust Fine Art and at Stardust Art and Coffeehouse. And if you're interested in watching my pole journey, that's on there as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. It's been really fun.
Thank you.
Like I said, you got an infectious aura about you. So keep doing that. That's awesome.
Thank you very
And
much.
I don't know if did you mention you're opening on the 12th?
Yes.
Yes.
12.
Yes.
On the
Friday,
12th.
February 12th.
So we'll try to edit this before then and have it. It's a pain posting to YouTube. I don't know if Mike's told you, but
It should be
Okay.
good. We'll
Yeah.
get it.
so
Y'all are awesome.
awesome. Well, thank you, Lola. It was very fun.
Thank you.
Bye.